Hey, my name is Jens. I'm one of the co-founders of WonderGraph, and I want to show you rate limiting today. So we just added rate limiting for federated graphs, and here's a very simple and straightforward configuration. So currently we have one mode, which is the strategy simple. So in your WonderGraph config YAML, so that's the config YAML for your Cosmo router, you set rate limit, you enable it, true. You set the simple strategy. For the storage, you have to supply the Redis that you have. In this case, I have it on standard port with the password. You can define a key prefix to avoid naming collisions. And then you can define the simple strategy. So in our case, we said, okay, we allow a rate of 100 with a burst of 100 in the period of 66 seconds. So that's a moving window. And we want to reject requests that exceed the rate limit. Okay, so I have my router running already on localhost 3003. So here's my router. If I now make a request, you can see, first of all, we get some data back. And here is in the response extension, we have some very useful information. And we built it this way so that a client can automatically parse the extensions field with the rate limit. And so they can adjust their rate and account for the rate limit that is being applied. So they are not in the dark, but they can fully understand what's happening. So let's talk about what is going on here. So this field, request rate, this is the rate of the request. So how much does it cost to make this request? So if I make this again, you can see request rate keeps going at 2. And that's because we make 2 requests to 2 subgraphs. If I remove this field here, you can see now it's just 1 request because we request less data. So now the request rate is just 1. So it really depends on the complexity of the query, on how many requests are we making to your subgraphs. So let's keep it at 2. And as you saw in the config, we set rate and burst 100 per 60 seconds. So you can see now here, the second field remaining. So if I keep going and I send requests faster than 2 requests per second, which is our allowed rate, then you can see the rate is going down and eventually it goes to 0. And if it goes to 0 and we need a rate of 2 again, you can see now we get an error message, rate limit exceeded, data is null, and we get the information that we should retry this after 81 milliseconds. So it takes 81 milliseconds to reload our rate again. So now we can do this again. You see now we're at 36 and we can make some requests again. Okay, so now we make requests and eventually we exceed our rate limit again. And now you can see if I keep going, it's kind of like on and off. I keep using two rate tokens or 2 request rate per request. So if I send them too fast, this will eat into my allowed rate and eventually I exceed the limit. And then there's another field. So that's retry after milliseconds. So that indicates to the client when should you retry again, when does remaining reload. And then we have reset after milliseconds. So you can see when does our window reset to the full amount. And if we don't make any requests, you can now see this resets after 35 seconds. So we currently have remaining 40. So it takes 35 seconds to fully reload. Now we're at 63. So it takes 20 seconds and we wait a little bit more. 10 seconds, we are at 80. And so you can see that slow after slow, we refresh our rate and get back to 100. So another 1 second, and I think we should be fully loaded. Okay, now we are at 100, and if I make one request, we go to 98, and then it takes a bit more than 1 second and 200 milliseconds to refresh. So now we're kind of like at the max rate, and I can start going again, and you see how this goes down. And yeah, that's rate limiting. It's the simple strategy. For the future, we plan to add more complex strategies, but this is really just to get the ball rolling. And yeah, that's the starting point for federated GraphQL and rate limiting. Cheers.